And now, coming to you live from the Midwest Racks and Rods Outdoor Studio, it's the Outdoor Show with your host, me, Scotty B, on the beatbox. And joining us live today is new team member, Nick Faber.
Cheers.
Welcome, Nick. And for those of you that were watching on YouTube, we're trying this again here. Like I said, we got some new software, and we're just we've run some tests, and everything has been good, and it looks like it was just one little minor error that we weren't streaming live on Facebook, but now we are hopefully streaming both on Facebook and YouTube at the same time. And as you can tell, we're missing one of our brothers, one of our partners in crime here, Drew. He's a little under the weather tonight, and he's a little disappointed to not be joining us. But he promises he'll be back here for next week's show. And speaking of next week's show, we're going to be joined by Scott Bass, the owner of Easy Cut Products. He'll be coming back for his second episode. And we're really excited about that episode because he's shot a couple nice bucks this year, and he's got some fun stories to share with all of us. So, again, that's Scott Bass from Easy Cut. And speaking of Easy Cut, this show is brought to you by our good folks over at Easy Cut Products. Originally So yeah, next week, guys, make sure you tune in to this episode, or our next episode with Scott Bass. It's going to be a lot of fun. We might talk Briar horses. Is that right, Luke? Am I getting a nod? Might be some Briar horses talk. But like I mentioned just previously here, we are also streaming live on YouTube. It's something new with our new software here. Make sure you go and check out our YouTube page. Luke, if you could pull that up. All right, now that we got all that stuff out of the way, we're going to do this again. How's it going, Nick? How are you?
Not too bad. Good. You?
Welcome to the team. I'm good. I'm excited. It feels a little weird here not having my co-host with, and especially that it's Drew, because it's through Drew that we got to meet you.
Yeah.
And that's how we met. And you've known Drew for...
Since 2015, we were on the same team for about 3 years at our old job, working together every single day.
Right.
Unfortunately, I had to see him, and he had to see me.
Oh, yeah, you're going to have that. But, no, it's actually funny because we had been talking about, maybe getting you on the team. I would say Drew was the first one. Obviously, Drew was the first one to bring it up when he first introduced in that. And it was kind of one of those things where we were just slowly starting to add a couple of guys onto the team. And then we talked about it. I know Chris and I had talked about it as well. And your name just kept getting thrown around. And all of a sudden, lo and behold, I get a little reach out from you saying, hey, if you're looking for anybody else to join the team, and I tried not to get too overly excited and play my cards. Just like, we're always kind of maybe thinking about bringing some. But inside I was like, oh yeah, we're getting Nick on the team. This guy is full of content. And if anybody epitomizes our catchphrase that we always use, always outdoors, that's you. Yep. If you guys check out his Instagram page, Faber to Hunt, first off, go over there and then subscribe or give him a follow and then check out his content. This guy really is. He covers every basis. You just actually were on a boar hunt, weren't you?
I was, yeah. Yeah, we were up in Michigan. I had a couple buddies. We usually try to do a group trip every year with the same guys or a couple different ones, but besides our normal hunting and fishing we do around here, just to get out of state and do something different.
Yeah.
So that was pretty fun.
Yeah, if you guys check out his Instagram page, you'll be like, well, is there anything he doesn't hunt or kill or catch?
No.
Because I've seen squirrels, I've seen rabbits, I've seen boars, I've seen mule deer, I've seen antelope, goose, duck, fishing walleye, fishing everything.
Walleyes, my jeans just got tight there.
Well, we're getting close to that time, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. It's happening right now. I mean,
spring walleye it's on us right now.
It is. It's been going really good so far. Glad that ice is gone. I know a lot of people like it. I could live without it. I like being in the boat, and nothing beats walleye fishing for me.
Well, I'm gonna get actually out on the ice one more time this weekend.
I just threw up my mouth there a bit.
One more time. I got a buddy of mine that wants to head out, and another friend that he just started getting into ice fishing this year. Our buddy Matt, he's from southern Iowa, so he hasn't had a whole lot of experience with ice fishing in that, but he loves fishing in that. Him and I go kayak fishing on the rivers all the time, catching smallmouth and northerns and that, so we have a blast with that. And he's like, oh man, I really want to try ice fishing. So we just had a team outing a couple weeks ago, with our producer Luke and Drew and all the guys from the team, and we had an absolute blast. We were just in central Wisconsin. We were catching fish, anything too exciting or major, but we're catching some smaller northerns and some largemouth and a few perch and bluegills and some crappies, and we just had a ton of fun out on the ice that weekend, hanging out as a team, and that some of the guys that had just joined the team this year, and this was an opportunity for them to get a chance to meet. So you joined just a couple of weeks too late.
Yeah.
Because we would have dragged your ass out on that. So whether you liked it or not.
I mean, I got the ice fishing gear, and I don't mind it once in a while, but man, I don't know.
The lattes were flowing.
See, then I'm in. Right. That's it.
There was a lot of ice drinking to go along with that ice fishing. So, and to me, that's always a big part of it. I mean, ice fishing, like you can, if you don't even want to like pull a rod out and just throw tip ups and hang out and shoot the breeze with the guys and go chase flags. I mean, that's a fun day. And the weather was awesome. I mean, it was like on that Saturday, it was like 40 to 43 degrees, Luke. Is that right? It was pretty warm. So we were just kind of like sunbathing out there and having a blast. But anyways, let's get back to Nick here and in this kind of get to know the team member episode. So Nick, how did you get started in the outdoors? And was it something you started out as a young age, or did you start later in life like some guys do? It
was pretty early on. It was normal, Red Ryder BB gun in the backyard, shooting Mountain Dew bottles, cans, whatever, and any sparrows that came through pretty much were dead. So yeah, it's all started there, and I was blessed to have a family that was big into hunting. My Uncle Greg, Uncle Brian, my dad, and my Uncle Rick, they took all of us kids out there. I mean, that was it. We were all chomping at the bit, whose dad's going to shoot the bigger buck, who's going to get in the buck pool this year, and bow hunting we all got to go with, and sit on the stands, sit with our dads. It just was amazing. I mean, I got so involved with it, I just got obsessed with it and went full in, because I mean, I always wanted to be like them and shoot big bucks, and learned a lot. I mean, I was lucky that I got to learn at a young age, because not many people get to do that, and I had many years of learning from them and watching them and learning from mistakes, because everybody makes mistakes, and learning a lot of victories too. So it started there, and not everybody in the family really duck hunted or goose hunted or did a lot of out west stuff. That was just something that, as I met people and friends, we just kind of developed it. I'd say for waterfowl hunting, Jeff Newman and Mike Olson were the ones that got me into that. Thanks, I'm broke because of you. But yeah, I mean, I love it. I mean, the one thing I liked about the waterfowl hunting world a little bit more than bow hunting was just being able to talk. I mean, you can sit there and BS, and then you shut up for 30 seconds to a minute and blast away, and then back to having fun. But again, nothing beats the rut. I mean, everything that I do, I get involved in while it's during those prime times. I'm totally invested into that. Yeah, that's a tough time of year, for waterfowl hunters that are also archery hunters for whitetails and that. Do I sit in the stand or do I sit in the duck blind? Yep. I don't have a lot of experience with waterfowl hunting,
in that, but I have a feeling now with you on the team, that's going to change.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's going to cost me a lot of money.
Yeah.
So
If it's not decoys, it's ammo.
yeah.
Yep.
Oh, right.
Yep.
And the way ammo prices and that are right now, it's crazy. But so for you, I mean, it really was kind of like what it is for a lot of outdoors men and women is it was kind of maybe gun deer season was like the real.
Me, it was mainly archery.
It was
actually.
really,
Yeah.
it was more archery.
We, as I got older, we did do gun camp up in Bayfield back when that was a really, really good area to go. Not that it's not good, but it wasn't like it was back then. And we did 2 or 3 years up there of gun camp, and then my dad kind of fell out of deer hunting a little bit. Didn't really go, so I was kind of on my own. So I worked my way through that, and went with my uncles. Like this year was the first year I've had a kind of bigger group deer camp in many years. I was lucky. My uncle Greg and Alec and Quinn, my cousins, invited me to come up at their whole family and big group camp, and said, if you want to join us, you can. And I honestly had a blast. I mean, we got a couple deer. It wasn't like everybody shot anything, but I had one hell of a time. It was pretty amazing. I won't forget that.
And where was that?
That was, oh boy.
Up north?
Yeah, it was up north. I'm not like trying to hide the spot or anything, but I'm honestly trying to remember. I'm like,
Northern Wisconsin.
Yeah, there you go.
Somewhere up in northern Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Is that a camp that they've had for years?
yeah, they actually used to do Bayfield because my uncle invited my dad and uncle way back when I was, I think, 9, 10 before I could hunt. And that's how we started that. So they had that spot. We came up and hunted with them. And then as Bayfield kind of slowed down, as my dad kind of stopped doing the hunting, they continued to go, but they noticed too it was a little bit slower. It wasn't as successful. And then my uncle found this area, and they started doing, shooting deer. One year my uncle shot a really, really nice, I think it was an 8 or a 9 pointer. My cousin Quinn shot this old, real thick, busted up buck, but he was just gorgeous, and that's his biggest one ever. So
Sure.
I said, I just wanted to come with, drink beer, and hang out. I'm like, I really don't care if I shoot anything or not. I'm like, if I need a deer that bad, I'm like, I've got spots. I'm like, I just wanted the camaraderie, the hanging out, and like to have like a big group real deer camp, and I got that.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's nothing like deer camp up here in the upper Midwest. Gun deer camp. It's what it's such a big tradition. Chris from our team, he just got back into a deer camp the last couple of years, and he's been like super excited.
Yeah.
Like he gets just stoked. He's like, I haven't had an actual deer camp for so many years. And then he was going out in the Kettle Moraine and that by himself during gun season.
Yep.
It's just not the same.
No, it's not.
That's what archery season that's for.
Yeah.
Like for me, when it comes to like gun deer season, it's all about, for me, like it's great if I get a buck.
Yep.
Or there's plenty of opportunity to shoot does and things like that. Maybe get a little more meat in the freezer, but I just like hanging out with the guys.
Yeah.
I'm more about like making sure my brother's in the right spot, or making sure this guy's in the right spot, and everybody else having fun and being successful. Guys that aren't, don't spend as much time out in the field as I do.
Or they don't archery on, so they don't
Right.
get the opportunity to get a doe in the freezer right away.
Exactly. Yep. So, and it was kind of the same thing here just this year for my brother. And then I was like, all right, you go, I'm going to give you first pick on stands and that. And, he was able to take a couple does this year and get the freezer filled. And so he was pretty pumped about that. And, but yeah, there's just nothing like it. That camaraderie, like you said, that brotherhood, that family.
Yep.
I mean, it's not just, I shouldn't say just brotherhood in that. I mean, in a lot of camps nowadays, and you get, the young daughters come in, and nieces, and sometimes you got moms and grandmas and stuff like that. It wasn't the case for me. I've never been in a deer camp with any females before, but if I had a daughter, she'd be coming up.
Absolutely,
for sure.
yeah.
The time is right if she wanted to. So, all right. So, and then you got into waterfowl. What are I don't know if we did this on the first one or not, but you just were recently on a boar hunt.
Yep.
You want to tell us a little bit about that?
That was up at Superior Game Adventures. It's like 330 acres. I've been there before. This was many years ago. It's a fun place for everybody to hang out. They had elk, boars and stuff like that. I know it is. Some people are like, oh, it's fenced in. It was hard. Me and my buddy Joel, we actually took our bows, and we're really good shots. I mean, we've been able to shoot long distance. I shot my antelope, whatever it was, 2 years ago at 83 yards. We can make those shots. There was only about 75 to 100 and 330 acres. it wasn't the easiest to stay on top of them. I mean, with the gun, it was a little bit easier, but it's hard to pick them up because they group up together, and then you got to also make sure you don't shoot one or two because they're staying tight together.
Sure.
So we spent, I think, day one out of 8 or 9 of us.
So like you're saying, like they kind of stack up and
they run. I mean, they can see, they can smell. I mean, me and Joel had a couple push to us, and we were hiding behind trees, and I had one shot at like 20 yards, and I didn't take it because it was quartering at me, and they're a big, tough animal.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to stick an arrow and then have to chase it around all day, or I don't get it.
Right.
So we didn't, they sniffed us, whatever it was, the wind was blowing at them. They had very good smell, good eyesight, and that day I think there was only one person done by noon. And then Joel got one about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and then I walked about 9 miles, I think, just walking everywhere and anywhere through swamps to kick them out and keep them moving for everybody.
Sure.
I gave up. I went and got my gun. I was like, you know what, I got to get this done, and I was able to get one with my buddy Marshall. But day 2, we still had 3-4 people that still needed to get done. So we're out there pushing, trying to make it work, and it took us all the way down to the last, I think it was like 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon for the last guy to get his.
Oh, really?
So, I mean, it was a challenge. It wasn't like just walk up, point, shoot. I mean, it is obviously an easier hunt than like going to Texas and they're wild and free and stuff. But again, with a fenced-in area like that, it wasn't like what people think. You're not going to, I mean, I challenge anybody to go out there with a bow. And if you can get it done with the bow, walking and stalking, I'll pay for half your pig. So that was difficult.
Get you some bacon.
Yeah, absolutely. It's delicious. It was a lot of fun. It was just something that one of my buddies wanted to do, and he wanted to get with his AR, so went up and had a blast. Yeah,
sure. Yeah, I got a buddy that he goes down with his father and his brother, and once in a while another friend of mine, they go down to Texas and that, and it's tough.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going with the ARs down there too. And every year they usually come back with something, but he's like, it's not like shooting fish in a barrel by any means.
No, it's not. And I think a lot of the things that are miscued is a lot of promotion that a lot of, not hitting on any companies specifically, but I mean, everybody's going to post their best hunt. I mean, no one's going to want to post, guides for fishing, guides for hunting. They're not going to post the 10, 15 people a month that don't get anything.
We got a comment there, Luke. Why don't you go ahead and read it for us here? I don't have my glasses.
Larry Polinsky wants to know, Nick, what kind of bow do you shoot and what kind of broadhead?
I shoot a Hoyt Factor. I got it in 2014. I know it's older, but I've just been so comfortable with it. I had a hard time getting rid of it. I know updating bows, it can make and break a little bit better, but this one's just treated me so good. I've had such good luck with it. I feel so smooth with it. I just didn't want to change it. The broadhead that I use depends. When I was out west, I was using... I'm really bad with my broadheads. It was an expandable I used the G5 fixed blade, which those are replacement blades you can put on. That's like a fixed blade. The Montech, yeah, I think that one. Or it's Striker, I think it might be.
Okay.
It's the same company.
Right.
And then I used it's a double one that splits open. I can't think of the name. That's how bad I am at looking at them. I just know I go up and grab it.
Yeah.
So it splits. I use that for out west just because I wanted something that was flat shooting. And with antelope, with the bow, you're not going to get, for the most part, you're not going to get a very close shot. I mean, So when I took that, I'm like, I know these fly straight. Antelope are pretty weak. If you ever hunted them with gun, bow, I mean, you pretty much hit them. They're not going to really go far. They're a pretty weak animal. So I knew an expandable that would cut that much diameter, I'd be able to be successful with it. And that's what most of us did use was expandables.
Okay, yeah, that was actually going to ask that question, with it being further shots, you said like sometimes maybe up to 80 yards even, right? Does it make more sense to have something that's going to fly real flat, like an expandable? I mean, not that the fixed blades don't, but is it more about the cutting diameter or just the flight of the arrow? Would you say at that distance, do you feel like you can confidently shoot that distance because you're using a fixed blade or an expandable versus a fixed blade? Or
I felt that way because, I mean, the biggest thing that, when it comes down to the broadhead, I call it the broadhead war because everybody's like, I've got the best broadhead out there. You know what? Every broadhead is going to kill a deer if you put it in the right spot.
Right.
You want to talk about shoulder shots and stuff like that. Obviously, it's going to vary on that. But I use that one because I practiced with it. I bought 4 or 5 different broadheads. I shot all of them. The fixed blades that I had shot decent, but I shot very consistent with that expandable. I mean, I could basically put it at 80 yards the inside of a paper plate. I mean, the size of a mini basketball, I could hit at 80 yards
Yeah.
and put them all right in there.
Yeah, and that's going to get it done.
Yeah. So then I knew, I'm like, well, the way that they shoot, I like the expandable idea. Once they hit, I got a big cut diameter because I'm probably not going to get that penetration. Cut it as you can, get as far as you can in there, and then let the blood pour out. And the one that I shot, it went 45 yards maybe. I watched it tip over.
So even with an expandable, are you shooting like 125 grain?
100 grain.
100 grain.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And around here for whitetails, and for the pig hunt that I brought, it was fixed blade all the way. I prefer that. Again, I'm not hitting on anything. I've shot them with both. I've used Rage. I've used Muzzies. I've used Thunderheads or Thunderbolt, whatever they are.
Thunderheads, yeah.
Yep. And I like them all. Like I said, I've shot deer with. I used to shoot deer with the cheap. I think they're called Grizzlies at Walmart. The broadheads they had there, they were like at the time $9 for 3 of them. I used to shoot deer with those, and I mean, again, it worked.
Right.
I didn't have a problem. So I mean, but personally, yeah, that's what I use. I think they're called Strikers, 100 grain. I love those fixed blades. I think they're great. I've used them now for probably 6 years. Love them. I would stick with them. And like I said, those expandables, you can't miss them. They're the 2-blade by the same company there, Monotech or G5. I like those two for out west. I really do. For smaller game or weaker game or even like a mule deer, something like that, I love them. I think they're great.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I'm one of these guys where I have tried a lot. Mm-hmm. I've killed multiple animals in one season using 3 different broadheads on 3 different deer. Mm-hmm. I'm always kind of looking and kind of experimenting a little bit. I mean, I have some that I have found that have been pretty tried and true. I've killed a lot with Grim Reapers when it comes to expandables. In fact, every deer this year has been a Grim Reaper. Last year, or the year before, was one with the Grim Reaper and 2 with Dirt Nap, fixed blade, the DRTs. The year before that, I think 2 of them were with the Grim Reaper, and I don't know. I can't remember. I don't know if it was. I think I tried the Trocar, the Muzzy Trocar. Yeah. Like it's the hybrid. It's part fixed with 2 expanding blades.
I actually found one of those in my buck this year. I shot with a gun. Found it in spine.
I tell you what, that's been my least favorite so far.
Really?
Yeah. I shot Rage many years ago.
Nope.
And I know they've come a long way since then. And I'm not one of these guys, like I would never do, like bring on or accept a broadhead company as a sponsor. I'm not going to put that on my guys on this team here to, well, now you got to shoot this, because some guys are very, very particular. Yep. They want to shoot either, they might be like me where they want to shoot a variety of different broadheads. Some guys are all about fixed. Some guys are all about expandables. Yep. I'm just like, it's personal preference. And like you said, if you make a good shot, I mean, there's something to be said about going through a shoulder. And I mean, you watch the hunting public a lot, and these guys are taking shots where they're tucking them in between the shoulder and the sternum and that, with whether it be single bevel or they use, is it single bevel or double bevel that they typically use? But they're using a heavy broadhead. Yep. And that's great, but they're hunting from the ground too. Yeah, and not everybody does that. I know it's getting to be a more thing thanks to the hunting public. Yep. Thanks hunting public for a lot of things. Yeah. But it's a personal preference thing. Yeah. So, Luke, before we get back into it, do we got any other questions or anything? We got Steve. What is Steve saying?
Steve Schwartz says single bevel. Single bevel.
I'm assuming that's what. I'm assuming that's the hunting public. Yep. Yeah. So. All right. So we talked about the boar hunt, and you did talk a little bit about the antelope hunt. How many times have you been out antelope hunting? And
Twice.
Where out west have you gone?
That was South Dakota, Buffalo. We stayed in. It's right up against Wyoming, right there in the corner. Okay. So it's a pretty fun trip. I mean, we learned a lot the first time we went out there, and the second time we learned more. I mean, I'll say one of the things, if you're going to go out to a different state, hunting, fishing, whatever it is, your best friends. It sounds bad. You're going to find them in the bar. Hands down. I mean, every time I've gone out anywhere on a hunt, you talk to them at the bar. I mean, I've met North Dakota when we were duck hunting. We've met farmers at the bar. Talked to them. I got so many stupid ducks and geese. You guys want to come shoot them? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, you want some cheese curds? Oh, by the way, yes. If you're gonna go out west, bring cheese curds. I promise you. You are going to make a lot of farmers happy if you're asking permission. They love cheese curds. We bring beer out there too, and they really, I mean, I can get my own beer. Cheese curds from Wisconsin. Oh,
That's the ticket, guys.
that is the ticket. I heard you say that.
Cheese curds. I mean, who doesn't love cheese curds?
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
That's just, cheese curds are the best. Luke, what's your favorite cheese curd? Where's your favorite place to go for cheese curds? I know the answer.
Fashion in Madison, Wisconsin.
Old Fashioned in Madison, Wisconsin. Okay. I thought you for sure you were going to say Cousins. Cousins are good, though. Am I right? They're Cousins are good.
Yeah, grab and go. Cousin's tough to beat. Culver's changed theirs.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm not a big fan.
Culver's.
Mistake.
I still get them, but the other ones were way better. No doubt.
Luke is a little bit of a cheese curd connoisseur. That and wings, so.
Yeah. But yeah, so for the antelope hunt, the big thing that we learned, just like a quick takeaway, was we thought, with the decoys, because we're using bows, I mean, you can sit in a blind. We didn't want to do that. We want to kind of do a spot and stalk. We thought that walking with the decoy, you could do that. Not saying that it doesn't work. It just never worked for us. We talked to a couple of guys at the bar, and they said, what are you guys doing? You sneak up as close as you can, and you pop that decoy up, and you stake it down. He's like, it's like turkey, because we went during the rut, and they said it's like turkey hunting. That buck's either going to come in and check you out, or he's going to stay out there and push his does and leave, just like turkey hunting, but popping that decoy up. And that was one of the best things that we did. We tagged out using that method.
So it wasn't about going out there holding it up and walking and kind of like reaping.
Yeah, that's what I tried doing. I thought it would work. And we never got, a couple does we got within range, which I ended up shooting a doe, but we were trying to get bucks. And we popped that up and we walked, and we couldn't figure out. I'm like, we're using a decoy. Like, what more do they want? Yeah. And we talked to a couple of guys that go out there every single year, and they're like, yeah, you guys are doing it wrong. He's like, walk up, sneak through the ditches, trenches, rainage ditch, get as close as you possibly can, and pop it up and get ready.
Okay.
And then my buddy Joe actually ended up doing that. He popped it up, thing came running right in, and he shot at like 35 yards shot. A stud pronghorn.
Yeah, I saw those photos on your Instagram. Yeah, that was really nice.
So that was last day, last hour. A couple of us didn't make it out to help him because we partaked in too many adult beverages. So we let Joe go by himself, and he got it done. Yeah, exactly.
The cheese curd debate is raging.
Oh, what, Cedar Valley? Whoever said Cedar Valley? Yes.
Now we got Car Valley cheese curds.
I can't reach
Steve
this far away.
Steve Schwartz, the Car Valley.
Darn it.
Cedar Valley, though, I agree. Cedar Valley, especially when they're fresh. So what are we talking here, though? Are we talking about like fresh cheese curds? Or are we talking about deep fried cheese curds? Because
that's a whole nother show.
It might be this show right now. Like, this might be happening. Like, I want to hear from you guys.
Chris says enough with the cheese curds. Where's your favorite fish to go after in Wisconsin?
What? Where's your what?
Favorite fish?
Fish dinner.
Oh.
Or I don't know if it's.
Wait, no. What's your favorite fish to go after?
Yeah,
go after.
Go after
Okay.
fishing.
Yeah, all right, fishing. Yeah.
Mine's easy.
I'm gonna guess it's walleye.
Yeah,
It's the eyes.
they get me excited.
And
I can't wear sweatpants when I go fishing.
I think Chris would probably agree with that. If Chris is going to chime back in, I bet you he'll agree. Like, Chris likes the walleye. I mean, who doesn't like catching walleyes? Honestly, I mean, I know you get the diehard muskie guys and that. I've actually never even tried to go muskie fishing. Like with intention of trying to catch a muskie.
Yep.
And I've never caught one accidentally either, for that matter. Northerns and stuff, yeah, sure. For me, walleye fishing's a lot of fun. I'm probably this will probably land me in that novice area. I really like catching bass, particularly smallmouth though.
Yep.
Like, I love catching.
Yeah, they got some shows
big
on them.
footballs,
especially up in Sturgeon Bay when they're spawning up there.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I love catching smallies. Largemouth are fun. Ditch pickles are great. They're just fun to catch. I love pan fishing.
Yeah.
Crappies are awesome. Perch are great.
Chris says eyes at night are the best. Eyes at
night. Yeah, walleyes at night. Yeah.
Also named my 60.
He's talking about the pier. That's what he's saying. That's what he's talking about. He's like, he knows those big girls are coming up in about a month.
Chris,
knows.
we're planning some stuff here. So
Yes. See.
what did Steve say?
He's a
Favorite
smart
fish,
man.
hands down, walleye in all caps.
He's a smart
I
man.
might have to send you out to my truck to get my glasses. Or make that bigger for some reason. My eyes are shot here. Now that I turned 46, it's like it's all downhill now. I can't see.
De Pere, Little Bay, Dinock.
Ooh. I haven't been to Little Bay to knock.
Yeah.
We were up there when we were up by the pig hunt, and I thought about if we tagged out, we'd go try for some. I've never been up there. De Pere, I've been there quite a bit. I've been there, I don't know, 7-8 times already this year. So it's there's a lot of 16 to 22, 23 inchers being caught, males as well. And then I know down by the mouth they're starting to pop down there, some of the bigger ones. So
Yeah.
a couple buddies I know we're getting them down there. So they're gonna be pushing up. I think that current's gonna help with that rain and snow and crap that we got. I know the current's moving, dirtier water, so it's gonna be getting good. I'd say usually, I mean, our best week always for us is April 7th to the 12th. In between there, those dates have always been fire for us. I got probably 100 pictures of real nice walleyes during that time.
Sure.
From shore and in the boat.
Yeah. Have you ever done, I was just going to ask actually about the shore fishing for eyes. Well, is there some, have you gone like around the Oshkosh area ever before?
Not offshore, I haven't.
I did, like 6 years ago in that, and I must have hit it at just the right time because it was incredible.
Really?
In that. I was like, I was being told this by several people now, like, you just got to come down, come to the park and that. Like, I'm like, come on. Are you for real? And they're like, yeah, absolutely. And it was a lot of fun.
Yep.
And I don't know why I haven't been back since, but.
I got a buddy that bridge fishes up there.
Yeah.
Off the bridge for walleyes and stuff.
Breaking news, possibly Larry Polinsky. There is a proposal to create a northern pike spearing season. What do you guys think about that?
Well, I know it's a thing in certain areas.
Minnesota, I believe, has it.
Yeah.
I don't know if Michigan does.
What are your thoughts?
I think it's pretty cool. I think there's a lot of lakes around here that have a lot of little dinky pike. And I don't think, I've never heard of a lake getting outfished a pike. So personally, I'm on board with it. As long as they do the correct limits and stuff where you're not spearing 20 per person per day, or they do tags or something where they're not going to just get completely demolished, I'm in for sure. Smart rules like they do with everything else, I'm in 100%.
Sure, much like the surgeon in that,
Yeah,
where there's
exactly.
limits and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that. You see, it's kind of a little bit similar to spearing for sturgeon.
Yeah.
You're using some sort of bait out there, that you're kind of dangling out over the hole that you have in that. I've never done it, obviously.
Nope, I haven't either.
But, I guess I'm all for it.
I would be, yeah.
I'd like to hear what Larry thinks about it, or anybody else for that matter.
Yeah.
But, I don't see any reason. There's so many lakes that it's just like, even some of the rivers and stuff, like it's overrun.
Yeah.
And to the point where there's just nothing else to catch but northerns.
Yeah. I think that was like Big Cedar. They finally reduced the limit on them out there. It was 40 or 41 inches, whatever it was, for how many years. I don't know if it changed. I haven't looked. I haven't been out there in a while. So I know that I think it was last year they changed it for a while, and they made it like 26, 28. Again, don't quote me. I'm just shooting from the hip here. I know they lowered it a little bit. And I thought that was great. I thought that lake had great potential, had great fish. It still has big fish, don't get me wrong. I know there's big ones out there. There was just so many little ones out there and just real skinny snakes that just look sick. And it's like, people will take these. People will pickle them, put a size limit like they did in between there. And I think, like I said, I think it was like 24 to like 30 you can keep. And then after that, it has to be a trophy over 41 or 40, whatever it was.
Right.
Which I think that was really smart of them. I think that it helps.
Yeah, I agree. And that's exactly that's what we were catching the other week when we were up is, there was a couple that were maybe 20 inches in that, but it was just a bunch of snakes.
Yeah.
Larry says he's in favor. Another opportunity and bag limits will protect the resource.
Yep, absolutely.
Larry, do you know Larry?
I don't think so.
Larry Polinsky, we've had him on the show. You got to go back and watch a previous episode here. We had him on this last fall here, and he is a writer for the Daily News. And, he's got his own section there in the outdoor section.
Oh, nice.
So we had him on, and wrote a really great book called God of the Hunt, and you should pick yourself up a copy, or I'll let you borrow mine. It's a really good book. It's a nice read, and Larry's a great guy. So for those of you who haven't seen that episode, go back into the archives there and check out our episode with Larry Polinsky.
Chris, another question here. What is your go-to body of water for spring opener? Do you hit the Wolf River for the run?
This guy must follow me wherever I go. He knows me too well. Absolutely, Wolf River. Yeah, that's actually where I started fishing for walleyes way back in the day. My dad and uncle and grandpa took me up there, and I knew Chico's Landing. If you heard of them, Kiso's Landing. Those are the two places we always launched. We fished down by the mouth, white bass, walleye. I like to stick to the rivers. I'm big into that. If I had to pick a lake for an opener, honestly, it'd probably be Big Cedar. It's close to home. It's fun.
Oh, really?
That's probably where I would pick if I was going to pick a lake. But otherwise, yeah, I mean, it's De Pere and Wolf River are my two favorite bodies of water to fish around here. And Winnebago, obviously, but, you know.
So the Wolf, though, I mean, hasn't it gotten pretty overrun with boats?
Yeah.
I mean, it's I mean, even up in the bay.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, the bay is, it's last weekend we were breaking ice and getting out there. Saturday there was like 15 boats, and Sunday there was probably 50 plus boats. And I mean, there was still big ice chunks coming down.
Right.
So, I mean, and I've
you
seen
guys
it
are
there.
pretty close together, too, right?
Right now it's not bad, but I mean, when you when the big girls get up there by the dam, you could literally walk across boats.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the people are anchoring from here to the wall right there, which is about 7 feet away from each other. Like, it gets, but the only good thing I'll say about De Pere is I believe it's this Sunday, it shuts down. You can no longer keep 3 per person per day. It's 1/28. So it protects those females, lets them get up there, lets them do their thing and get unbothered. The Wolf River used to never be the way it was. I remember back in the day, like, if you saw 10, 20 boats, that was like, holy cow. Now I've seen it, not even including the white bass run. Everybody knows what that looks like up there. It's a zoo. Yeah. But for the walleye run, it's getting that bad too up there. I mean, I've seen years where there's guys keeping, 12 to 13 inches, and there's 100, 200 boats we see. I mean, I was just talking about it actually today with one of my buddies. I'm like, I'd personally be down if for a couple years, not to take away, I know it's going to hurt the businesses and whatnot,
right?
But a couple years just having catch and release. I mean, De Pere's catch and release, and guys still go up there like crazy. Sure. And early enough, like right now, you're not really getting big females. You're getting the normal ones. If they did that up there, I think it could help a little bit. I think something needs to be changed in the Bago system. Personally, I think that system is not hurting, but it's not what it used to be.
Right. And and I think you hear that quite a bit.
Yeah.
What do you think is the reason for the large influx of more fishermen out on some of whether it be the Wolf or the Bay or anything like that? Like,
I think 2 things. I think electronics have obviously come a long way. I mean, live scope, side imaging. I mean, having stuff like that's amazing. I use it myself, so that's how I know how good it is. I mean, white bass fishing, we saw everybody struggling this one day, and we were just heading upriver, and we found a pot of white bass. In an hour, we had over 100 that we caught between 3 of us. And it was just, without that, we'd have left. We'd have been done.
Right.
I think that electronics are making it a little bit easier. So I think a lot of people are like, well, if I got this side imaging, I can find pods of fish. I think that makes it a little bit easier. I also think that social media is a huge play in it. Lake Link, that was when I was growing up. That was basically the social media site to see what people are catching. And people would post and people wouldn't post. And then people would get mad when people post. I mean, now you got people like on YouTube and stuff just like this where they're talking about, where they're fishing. They're showing videos of where they are, what they're catching, what they're doing. And again, nothing against them. I'm not hating or anything. You do you. That's all about you. I'm just saying that's the only thing I could see that changed it to where people are being more successful. It's not that they're doing bad things. I'm just saying everybody's a little bit more successful with the electronics.
There's a little bit of
social media. Yeah. I think it's helped quite a bit because, again, people post pictures. I know right where that building is on the river. I know those trees. I've been up there enough. I know that point. I know that bend. If you take a high enough picture, that's why a lot of guys blur out their pictures.
Yeah, that was the next thing I was going to say. What are your thoughts on the blurring out of backgrounds and that? Because I think there's almost a 50-50 split, in my opinion, and I could be wrong, but just in my opinion, there's a 50-50 split on is it cheesy? Is it smart? What's your take on that?
I think it depends on the area. I mean, I know a lot of buddies that got lakes up north that they know very well where they can catch a lot of big fish, and they're big catch and release. And they know that enough people see that picture, and they can, I mean, again, I could see on Big Cedar, Little Cedar, Wolf River, and De Pere. I know those areas
When you
really
have
well.
those identifiable
Yeah, if you take a
landmarks.
picture high enough where I could see a shoreline with a tree or even a building in the back, I mean, 75% of guys that fish up there are going to know right where that is. So,
Yeah.
I mean, if I do a tournament or something, I'm taking preseason pics and stuff, and I'm taking pictures from up, down the bottom of my boat, so you can't see.
Yeah.
So they don't have to blur it or anything. But yeah, I agree with the guys that are doing it. They're just trying to protect their spot, and if you want to know where they are, I'm sure most of those guys, if you ask them, like, hey, what were you doing and where were you at? I don't need your exact location, but can you
I
give
don't
me a
need your
lake?
GPS coordinates.
And those guys will probably share it with you. I mean, you shouldn't ask for someone's exact spot anyways if you're not friends with
Right.
them. But I think I think that it's fine. I mean, I agree with what they're doing. I mean, I like I say, I take high pictures as well, and I think it's smart. I think it saves it.
Yeah, I agree. Like Milliken, I don't know if you follow Milliken.
I don't know.
He's real big on like where he's like, if I disclose my location, he's like, the fishing would be ruined in some
Yeah.
of these spots.
Yeah.
You know, he's like, I've done the work to find these spots and that, and if I let everybody know exactly where I'm at, he's like, these spots would be just absolutely overrun.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
know, and he's like, I don't want that. I would say this: how about instead of screenwriting and scribbling, use portrait mode, where you can blur out the
that's true.
background. Like, it's so bad. Like, I hate that when you see like the
Scribbled
you know,
out.
this just it's all scribbled, the tree line. Like, just do portrait mode, and that'll look real nice, and then you can share that up. But anyways, I digress.
That would work. If there's only apps and stuff that would have that.
Yeah, right. I mean, you can do background removers. You could green screen you at Times Square with your fish.
Yeah.
But all right. So sticking with the fishing, outside of walleyes, what would be your next go-to fish that you really like getting after?
I guess it depends. I mean, for the fight or for like if I need a meal, I like white bass. They put up a good fight. When I do ice fish, I like to chase those on Poigan and Bago. If I had to pick one more second one if I was fishing, honestly, it'd be between bass and pike. I mean, it's just they put up a great fight. They're fun fish to go for. You can cast a spinner and catch both. That's the one thing I like about them. Like, it's not like one lure you have to use to get them. I mean, I use those normal spinners with the tails and stuff, and I catch everything. Mep spinners, bass, and pike will hit it. I like the fight of those. I do like bluegills as well, though, if I want to panfish, because I think bluegills are underestimated for how small of a fish they are and the fight that they put up on an ultralight.
Yeah.
It's a pretty dang good time.
Yeah. When you're ice fishing in that, and you're like, your rod's bent over, like, ooh, what a
Oh, dang. Yep.
Like, oh, it's a nice bluegill.
Yep. See, I don't discriminate against any fish. I like them all. I think the laziest fish is a crappie, though. I think I haven't had many personally experiences catching crappies where they put up a heck of a fight.
No, they really don't.
Yeah.
It's usually a little bit lighter bite to begin with in that, and but they sure are tasty.
They are. Yeah,
They are delicious.
Yeah.
So I don't mind. Like, if I can get on when you get one of those evening half hour, 40-minute top long, like crappie bite where you just get it back in. That's fun and delicious.
Yeah, absolutely.
In fact, we got on a little bit of one of those a couple weeks ago. It was like it's that there's just enough light where you can still barely see, and all of a sudden you get on those crappies, and that's
a
always
blast.
a fun time. But
It's nice because they school pretty hard, so usually if you catch one, there's more than one.
yeah, exactly. All right, well, let's get back into the hunting side of things here. So we talked a little bit about the antelope and a little bit about whitetail. Well, we'll get back into the whitetail. Mule deer. Mm-hmm. You've done some of that as well.
I did.
In fact,
2 years ago.
The one promo we did was with a real nice mule deer. Where are you going for that?
That was Colorado. I met a friend through my father-in-law's brother. They invited us out 2 years ago. So we had to put in 2 years of tags. We got the tags drawn. We went out with them. It is private land. It's not like fenced in or anything, but it's private land next to public land, and we've seen a lot of bucks. I mean, nothing was huge. We had a couple of guys in the group. I think there was 15 of us total. Everybody tagged out. There was four or five that were bigger than mine. Not that mine was a giant, don't get me wrong. That was
nice,
to fit
though.
their
Real nice,
6'1".
yeah.
So we've seen a lot of bucks like that, and we were lucky enough to get it. I mean, it was a great time. And then when we were done, we went shed hunting, me and Joe, and I think one afternoon, 4 or 5 hours, we found 19 or 20 some sheds and deadheads.
And of muleys or
Muleys, antelope. We did not find any elk. one of the kids that was hunting with his dad actually walked up to like this little cedar tree or pine tree, as he described it, and there was 8 sheds, and one of them was an elk shed piled up. So someone must have just like, maybe they're going to come back for him, and they never did. They piled up a pile of sheds out there under this tree, and this kid found them all, and me and Joe were sitting there like, we just walked like 6 miles to find like the ones that we got, and you got almost as many as us under a tree.
All right.
I'm like,
and they're like, do I take them? You got to take them.
yeah, they do. They took them. I'm like, if you don't want that elk shed, I'm like, we'll take that one.
Right. I've always wanted to go out west, just the shed hunt. I think it would be a blast.
Oh, it's unreal. Yeah, I talked to a couple of guys that go out, and out there, it's nothing like here. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's good spots here if you got the land. Yes, on public you can get out. It ain't nothing like out there. I knew guys that are bringing backpacks full.
Yeah.
And they're like, it's like, I'm like, at the end of the day, they're like, it's cool, but then you're like, okay, we got like 20 some sheds, like 20, 30. It's like, okay, it was fun, but like, it's more appreciative when you only get 1 or 2. Like, I walked how long?
Yeah.
You got those.
I know. There's been times where we've been out there all day, and I came back with like one little fork.
Yeah.
It's like a spike with one extra on there, and then the mice already got to it, or the squirrels or whatever got to it, and then I'm like, well, you know how much harder it is to find that than the big ones?
Yeah, you can find a big hammer. Those things stick out like a sore thumb.
I always think it's impressive when you see these guys post when they find the little nubs in that. Like, that's impressive.
Yeah.
You know how hard that is to
I'd
find.
make a necklace if I found one like that. I'd drill a hole through and be like, I found this.
Absolutely, dude. That's like
That's an acorn.
that's a trophy when you're looking for sheds. Like, that's crazy. In fact, like I said, I think it's right out in the green room there. That little one there, and I was like, and that was an all day. It was like 6 hours into it before we found that one.
Jeez.
And it was just like, hey, we got something on the board.
We didn't go home.
Sometimes it's like, you just go out there. Like last year, first time out, got 100 yards down a trail. Bloop, both sides. One on this side, one on the other. Nothing big, just a small little basket 8-pointer, But I was like, yeah, that's awesome. Like,
okay, we can go home.
It's going to be a good day. Yeah, that was about it. I think we did find one more that day. But yeah, it's boots on the ground, and that's become such a big thing, is shed hunting.
Yeah.
And some people don't understand it, and then other people, and it's one of those things that's hard to explain. It's just like, hey, it's antler. It's like, well, you didn't kill it. Yeah, but you still work for it.
Yeah.
You're out there, you're searching for it,
One a big thing too now, a lot of people out west that are doing it, there's money in it. I mean, you look at Cabela's, like they sell off like just a tine, and they're looking at $10-15 for it.
Right.
I'm like, for the dogs, and stuff like that. And I'm like, holy cow. I'm like, yes. I mean, there's guys that go out west and they bring piles back, and there's companies and stuff that'll buy it from you. I mean, you can get, I don't know what it is, but they can get money off shed hunting. I'm like, yeah, if I lived in a state that had that, where I know I could fill backpacks full. Yeah, I'm going to go do that. That sounds like a $200 check coming my way to go walk around. And I'll take pictures of them, hang them up my wall. It's just as good as them piling up in my basement right now.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I remember Fleet Farm a few years ago at the old location here in town. They had a whole rack thing, of just antlers.
Yep.
Like chunks in that for dogs or for teaching your dog to shed hunt and stuff. And I'm like, $15 for this little fork.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, shit.
I worked at Cabela's, and they had a set of rack, horns, rattling horns. It was $115, and I'm like, that's why I need a shed hunt right there.
Right,
I'm
no kidding, right?
Just got to find those big hammer ones, though. Usually I get the forks, and they don't sound as good. I tried that a couple times, and it was embarrassing.
You get the forks to come in, though.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they come in looking like, who can I kick over here?
Yeah, shed hunting. I know Steve. If Steve's still watching, I'm surprised he hasn't. Oh, there he is. What's Steve got to say about shed hunting?
Sheds are life. I figure out my early season based on shed hunting.
Ooh,
yeah, Steve.
I didn't even think of that.
Steve absolutely loves shed hunting. In fact, when we were up on our ice fishing thing, he's just like, I'm really tempted just to get off the ice here for a little bit and walk around those woods back there and see what I can find. And he's like upset. He's like, this snow needs to melt. He wants to get out there.
Yep.
And that. Like, I like going. I'll go a couple times, and if I find stuff, I find it. If I don't, I don't. It's like, it's a day outdoors, getting some exercise. I mean, it's always a lot more fun, especially if you find a hammer or something.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Like, you find a deadhead. I just don't want to find any of my property.
Yeah, no kidding.
I
had that
public
last year. Found one decent buck on one of my properties, and I was like, that kind of sucked. I'll steal a beer from you. See how that worked?
Yep. You're supposed to click, click.
Oh, that's right.
Clack, clack.
No, so we actually found sheds. We were down in Missouri on a snow goose hunt. Me and my buddy Jarrett and Jess Balsuri and a couple of their guys, and it was a slower morning. So I was like, well, thank you. I was like, well, what do you want to do? I'm like, there's a woods over there, and actually Jarrett brought up, he's like, last year I found like 2 or 3 sheds over there, and I'm like, I'm okay missing out on maybe shooting 2 or 3 more snow geese if you want to go walk for an hour or 2 and then we come back. And sure enough, we went down in that woods and we ended up finding 2. He found one and I found one.
Nice.
Walking around, there was tracks galore. We should have found more, but I was like, that was kind of cool.
Chris said, as soon as the 2 feet of snow starts to melt, I'm heading out to do some shed hunting up here in the North Woods. Proper pronoun. And Steve comes back with the, my goal is 150 miles this year, and he's 3 miles in.
Oh, that's a lot of
Well,
work.
you got some walking to do, homie. Mm-hmm. Walking to do, big homes.
I should ask anybody out there, what's the most sheds you found in 1 year? January 1st, December 31st.
Yeah.
What's the most you found total piled up? And where? If it was out west, if it was Wisconsin, or where?
Yeah, I mean, if you're out west, that's...
Yeah, that's why I want to know if it was
But
Wisconsin.
still, I mean, it's not like it's a slam dunk out there.
No, it's not.
It's not like...
But just to know, not that someone says, I found 35, or 40, it's like, well, you found 40 in Wisconsin, just to know where exactly it was at, so it wasn't like it was here.
Yeah.
You're finding 40 in Wisconsin, that's pretty damn good,
Yeah,
I
that's
think.
some serious boots on the ground
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, I can't even imagine. That would be awesome, though. I'd be tickled with it. And there are guys out there that really just every chance they can get, they're out there, boots on the ground. Miles for piles, miles for piles.
Tracking themselves, so they know exactly where they're walking, weaving up and down and everything.
So when you go out there, is there a particular day or weather condition? Do you like it to be like bluebird sky? Do you like it overcast? Do you like it to be after a rain?
I prefer cloudy. I try in the sun, and usually when I get out, like after work, it's the afternoon, the sun's kind of low and shining in the eyes. I never had as good of luck, but I notice on cloudy days, I've been able to see them a little bit better.
Yeah, I think
Just
that's
because it's not shiny as much, especially because most of my hunting land is all cattails and stuff. So they blend. The sun shines, it's like, yep, not seeing nothing.
Sure.
Steve's a half dozen or so guy. He's a half dozen type of guy. All public land.
Ooh, now that's impressive, public land. I know there's bucks out there, but I mean, that's a lot easier than someone that has like 50 to 300 acres of their own, and they know the bucks are there, and they got their food plots,
right?
And they walk out there and they find them in their food plots.
Yeah. See, the problem I have on my properties is the landowner and his dog usually get to him before I do.
Yeah.
And it's just like, all right, just let me know what you got, because
I know it's alive.
Right. I want to know if it's one of my target bucks and that. In fact, I didn't even check with him last year because I would be curious to know if he found any sheds from the buck that I got this year, because I would like to get my hands on those, because he didn't grow a lot. He just put on some mass.
Yeah.
And he was just such a cool buck. But anyways, yes, doing it on public land is interesting, especially when there's still a little bit of snow on the ground, because it's like you're also tracking the other trackers.
Yep.
You're seeing where the other boot tracks and that are, or in the mud and stuff, depending upon what the terrain is like. But that's a big thing. I like to do spots around the city in that, although it's really gone down the last several years.
Yeah, I know why.
You got all the sharpshooters coming in, and that, I mean, there's does and fawns around. So that tells me there's still bucks around.
Yeah.
And that, but it's not like
Not
it
at
was,
all.
because where I live here in town, there was years where there'd be a couple of these really big bucks that I would see at least several times a year. Crossing the road, walking down the sidewalk by my house. I remember coming from my brother's house one night, coming home, it was like 12:30 in the morning, and I was like, holy shit.
Yep.
Look at this freaking monster crossing the road right in front of me. And I'm fumbling for my phone, I'm like, it's dark out.
By the time you get your flash on, it's all blurry.
It's a
so you get
half-ass
nothing.
picture. I was just like, oh my God. I want to find his sheds this year before he gets sharp shot.
Yep.
But yeah, that's been a real, because it was pretty good around here.
Oh, yeah.
Around spots in town. And
Yeah,
it was like anytime the snow melted a little bit. I'm not going to name any names, but there's guys where I was like, I got to get out there before so-and-so or before
I know a
so-and-so.
couple.
We're probably talking about the same guy or two.
Steve says Chi-Town Preserves. Is that a cheese curd reference? I don't know what that means.
I'm not sure what Chi-Town Preserves is. I'm assuming it's somewhere where he's shed hunting. I don't know. Maybe he can elaborate.
That could have been on a different. He meant to post it on a different podcast. He's watching.
he's multi watching, not multi streaming.
But Chris would like to know turkey hunting or deer hunting.
I'll make fun of one of my friends. My name was Ryan Stens. I'd pick turkey hunting because that guy is obsessed. Don't get me wrong, I like my turkeys, but this one's easy for me. I'm all about the whitetails. I'm all about the meat. I'm all about the chase like that. Turkeys are great, and I hunt them every year. I have a blast, but me, it's 100% deer.
I agree 100%. Turkey is a great time. It's something to do.
Yep.
When it's not deer hunting.
Yep, it is. And I, like I said, I do a couple different tactics. We talked about it a little bit before, and the blind and everything has always been a blast. I love them when they come in the decoys, and even running and gunning. But the scoot and shoot has just been amazing. I had a couple people that actually asked me on Instagram last year when I was showing that ugly decoy that I made, and they're like, "Does that thing actually work?" And I'm like, "Well, it does work as a decoy." I said, "But again, you take a fan like anything that's mounted up on the wall that you have with the borax, you buy a cheap decoy from wherever, foam one, cut it in half, zip tie, glue it, however you want to put it on there, take the stake, and you're done. You literally can hide behind that, not telling what companies that have ones that you can spend a lot of money on.
Yeah.
This is about $10 a do, and it works great. If you're looking to do scoot and shoot and you're really interested in it, I recommend it. It's a very cheap way to do it, and it works. I've had mine for 7 years.
Would you say there's any benefit to going with a Tom fan or a Jake fan?
I think Jake. I think a smaller decoy, honestly. I've seen a couple of the companies that have really, really big ones, and it does work. I mean, anything can work, obviously.
Right.
But I've noticed with the smaller decoys that I use and the smaller fans and stuff, I don't cut them or anything, but just like the smaller profile of the body.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, you're sitting there drunk at the bar, and you come walking up, and you look at this big guy that's sitting there 8 foot tall, huge, 400-pounder, and you're like, no. And then you look over, and here's this 120-pound stick figure sitting there. It's like, yeah.
Right.
I can take that one on.
Right. I can take his grill.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I would say I would agree with that 100%. This last year, we really, really struggled. I don't know, and I kind of felt like I heard that from a lot of guys, that last year, for whatever reason, was a little bit tougher. And that's maybe just relative to the people you talk to and that. But that was kind of the consensus, that there just wasn't a lot of responsiveness to calls in that. Is that weather related or not? I know I was calling and filming for my brother. I believe he had second week, and I mean, it was just quiet. It was so quiet. You'd hear them in roost calling, and I'm like, I don't know, man. I'm like, I am getting more pictures of coyotes on camera. Not a lot, but a few more. I'm like, is that
what
everything?
camera is too? I mean, think how much more is running around.
Right, exactly. So, yeah, exactly. What am I missing?
Yep.
And that, are they a little more quiet because there's more predators?
Yep.
Yeah, we got bobcats. Obviously a bobcat's going to take it to.
Oh yeah, I mean, they take down deer. From what I've heard,
exactly.
Seen it personally, but
right. But anyways, we were decoying on the edge of an alfalfa field, and we were working this Tom all the way through the woods for over an hour.
Jeez.
And he finally came out. He was behind us coming across this way. We couldn't see him. And he finally came out into the field like this. And I thought, all right, here we go. I'm like, it's on. Get ready. You know, I've got a decoy out there on a remote where it's rotating real slow.
Yep.
And that I can control it. And the second he caught a glimpse of that decoy, he beelined it straight across the field away. I'm like, all right, that's a bird that's got one too many spurs to the back of that. And he's like, no, motherfucker, I ain't playing no more.
Yep. I've seen a couple like that. I've seen some big ones too, like some big butterfly, big beard,
oh my God,
and they run.
Just a paintbrush.
Yep, I've seen it before they come in. That's why I said like sometimes too, like we don't even use a Jake or a Tom decoy. We just put the hens out there and just cluck around. I mean, depending on your birds, you got to see if that happens. You're going to go after that same bird in the same area. Okay, only do hens. Because if that one's going to come back again, he's not going to play that game.
Right.
I haven't had one ever run away and come back ever again. They pretty much run and you never see them.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, he was gone. And it was just so dejecting. We were working on him. I'm changing up, the cadence and that, and he's coming. Yep. It's just taking a lot of time and not overcalling.
Yep.
Being real strategic about it, waiting, giving it time, especially when you weren't getting a response. And it's like, okay, it's time to shut up too, because then they're coming. And then he finally showed. I mean, he was like 80 yards at the closest.
Yep.
And then the second he saw the decoy, just booked it across the field right away. I was like,
yep.
I'm like, I'm sorry. And then, but the thing of it is I called like 6 Jakes right in.
Yeah, because they usually don't get touched because they run away too fast. Right. They're not going to sit there and mess around and they think, oh.
They came right in and I said, it's up to you, man.
Yep.
He's like, no, I'm not doing it. I'm like, all right, fair enough.
Yep.
He wouldn't even take, even for his first turkey, he wouldn't take a Jake.
Really?
And that. I was like, well, we could use the fan. And it's going to,
Yep.
He's like, I'm going to hold up for a Tom. And that, all right. I'm like, last minute, I'll probably take a Jake.
Yeah, I'll throw that tag.
Yeah, I'm going to eat those breasts, and I'm going to use that fan for decoying.
Yep, absolutely.
So, but yeah, like I said, when it comes to turkey hunting, it's a lot of fun. Don't get me wrong. I enjoyed the time with my brother, with my buddy Mike, and that. Either they're filming or I'm filming or we're hunting together. You can socialize a little bit, especially if you're hunting in a blind.
Yeah.
You can talk quietly and kind of just hang out. Especially when you get in those lows. What you got there for?
We got a co-host, Drew Briskling, Tom's only. Laughing face.
Tom's only.
He's referring to the shoe.
But yeah, I mean that it is. I enjoy for that, and I do like the first time I took my brother out. He was like, "It's so cool." He's like, "You're calling and they're responding."
Yep.
He's like, "I'm like, yeah, that is.
Yeah,
that is a really cool thing. Just getting out of your truck and slamming your tailgate.
Yep.
To see if you hear anything.
Yep.
That startle and
early morning, you hear those crows fly over and they start going. You're just like, shut up, listen.
Right, exactly.
Waiting for it.
Yeah, it's a blast, and I'm definitely getting excited.
Yeah,
It's going to be that time. But at the end of the day, it's always going to be whitetails for me over turkeys. My buddy, I don't know if Mike is tuned in at all tonight, but he lives out in Washington, and he's been doing some scouting and turkey hunting. He just started hunting out there a few years ago. He lives out there now, and he really wants me to go out there. So he said, give me one more year to scout some of these hills and valleys and that. Yeah, and when we say hills and valleys, we're talking mountains.
Yeah.
And that. He's like, give me one more year. And in fact, he messaged me today or on the Facebook page. He's like, you're going to talk turkeys tonight? He's like, I'm chopping to get out there. But he's like, we got like 2 feet of snow that need to melt. Yeah. But the plan is I'm going out there to hunt some turkeys out west with them. So I'm looking forward to that.
That'd be awesome. Yeah.
So, I mean, I think it would be cool to do a turkey slam.
Yeah, I thought about that too. I'd like to do that.
Yeah, I think that'd be a lot of fun. I mean, probably a lot easier than doing a whitetail slam.
Yeah, I would say on that one for sure. Especially because like around here, most of the spots that we hunt, this is all pretty much city limits. To be honest with you, we've got farm fields and we got all that, but like this is specific area where we all hunt. They're kind of locked. They're locked between roads. Not that they don't cross roads, but they're locked between roads. They're locked between traffic. They're locked between houses. They kind of stick to the same patterns because like they can't travel. I couldn't imagine being like out west or like out on public land that's like thousands and thousands of acres, and now it's like, okay, figure it out. So I don't give turkeys the respect they deserve because I get to hunt an area around us that's fairly easy, in my opinion, to hunt them compared to what most people have to deal with out west.
Right. Yeah. Do you use trail cameras at all to scout them, kind of like preseason?
I do, yeah.
Maybe to see where they're roosting or what they're if you can kind of narrow down a travel pattern for them?
Yeah, we'll use cameras, but honestly, the biggest thing is the same thing I do for duck and goose hunting is drive. Put on the miles, drive. When I used to have my motorcycle, it was awesome because I would spend nothing in gas and I could drive morning and night. I'd rip around and drive in the fields, bring the binos, and sit and watch. If they're not there, go check the next field. And I try to always keep my spots within driving distance so I can literally, like Monday night or Monday morning, all Monday morning and night, I'm going to go and do this loop. And I would literally do the same with the neighbors and the people are like, what is going on? What's this guy doing? He's drove past 15 times. I'll hit that loop and keep going until I know every single field that I have, where they're at.
Right.
And then if I don't see them and I know all my other spots are good and I got them covered, I watch them all roost, I will go in there just at the last light and I'll try and do owl calls or even crow calls, honestly, or coyotes, anything, and try to get one response so I know where they're roosting. Okay, did they go on the neighbor's property where I can't hunt?
Yeah.
And are they too far away? Or are they where they usually go and they just didn't come out tonight because it was too windy or too rainy and whatnot?
Have you ever roosted some turkeys and then they're not there in the morning?
Some of the times I have, yes.
Yeah.
I don't know what kicked them out, but I've had it a couple times where I'm like, this is where they are. We went there, and there was like 15 to 20 that went up in this enormous oak tree and the couple small ones around it. We got out there and we set up, and, I hear a couple gobbling, but I'm like, man, they sound like they're further back.
Right.
And I'm like, okay. And then it gets lighter, and you're seeing them kind of move around the tree, and I'm looking, I'm like, why is there only 8 birds in here? There was like 20 at least last night.
Yeah.
And then they get down, and then of course they go the other way.
Right.
And it's like, sir.
Yeah.
Steve Schwartz, I love turkey hunting, but it's sad because I stopped shed hunting so I don't booger up someone's hunt.
All right. Well, because he's shed hunting out on public land. Yeah. That's.
I didn't think of
That's
that.
respectful for
Yeah.
sure. Like, very admirable of you, Steve. That totally. And honestly, it can be a little bit dangerous too. I mean,
Yeah.
there's some road guys out there that there's stories every year
Yep.
somewhere in the country, and that especially when it comes to turkey hunting.
Yep.
We've seen the videos and stuff like that. Yeah, it can be a little.
I mean, even Mojo put those orange things on the wings because they had people that were getting shot, I guess, with that. And I'm like, I got really hard. I'm like, I'm not sure who's shooting. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, accidents happen, but
right?
You mean to tell me? I mean, you're shooting at probably 20 to at the max 60 yards. You don't see a guy in his hands and knees crawling. You don't see a decoy going forward and back or side to side. Like you can't see
It's a lot larger than that turkey.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing. Like turkeys only see 2 dimension. I think 2D, whatever. Okay, what's going on here? Like, you that excited to shoot a turkey?
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm confused. I mean, maybe it was he came over a hill and he just peeked his head behind the decoy or something. But I heard that story and I was like,
I feel like it happens more with turkey than anything.
Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, there's some, there's always some weird things that happen even with deer hunting and that from time to time. Like, oh, I saw a movement. Like, again, who just shoots at movement?
Yeah.
Like that's just crazy to me. But turkey, you're full camo, you're on the ground, especially you're using decoys.
Yep.
I can see a little bit, but again, those birds got to be in pretty close. And if you can't, boy, you better get some glasses or something. Like
I would think. I mean,
that's pretty messed up.
Yeah. He's a really good looking turkey, I guess. He's got to figure it out because he got the hunter even confused.
He's like, man, I got that new mossy oak obsession. It's going to get me killed this year.
God.
But yeah, turkey season, it is fun. And I do get excited around this time of year. I'm excited to get out and shut hunt. I'm excited to get out, get the cameras back out, start scouting for the turkeys, trying to figure out where they're roosting and that. And it's crazy because you can try to scout as much as you want, and you think you got it down, and like this is where they're roosting 90% of the time, and then when you go out there and hunt, they're roosting on the other side or on the other side of this ridge or something.
Because you don't know what changes, you don't know what spooks them out, owls, whatever,
is it you being out there?
Yeah.
Like,
did they see you come in? Did you get out there early enough? Did you make enough noise? Like, I mean, I've had it before where I'm like, these birds are dumb. And we set up close to them, and all of a sudden, they get down, they go the opposite way. I'm like, they've been coming to this exact spot for 7 days straight.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, you hear the blind pop up? Because, I mean, a lot of mornings, I don't know where I'm going because I'm going to keep scouting on my fields and put myself and my friends in the best position to get on the birds that I know that are going to be in the exact spot.
Yeah.
Okay, did they hear us set up even an hour before? They hear that thump pop and all that, and they're like, I mean, they're up in a tree. I mean, they can locate sound better than we can, so they're probably saying like, let's not go that way.
Yeah, the ear zipper open
Yep.
or whatever it is. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. There's been so many times where it's like we've roosted them or we thought we had them roosted, and then in the morning it's like, what?
Yep.
What happened after we left? You know, like
Yep.
we didn't, you know, because you're sneaking back out. And I didn't hear them, you know, fly down. I don't feel like we spooked them, but something obviously happened, or maybe they just they're like, no, this ain't the right tree.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, like, I'm going to risk it. I'm going to get down. I'm going to go to another one. But it is so much fun turkey hunting. But again, at the end of the day, it's always going to be whitetail for me, first and foremost. I love that chess match. I mean, not that some guys will say, well, it's chess versus checkers, you know.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I played some pretty good chess matches with turkeys.
Yeah.
And I've also played checkers with deer too.
Yeah.
You know, and vice versa. But yeah, you're never gonna. To me, it's not the same experience of picking up a tom, regardless of the size of its spurs or how many beers it has, as opposed to grabbing the rack of a 200-pound buck.
Yeah.
You know, like
especially when you have a history with too. I mean, I don't get that a whole lot where I hunt the history, but I see guys posting and talking about they've been watching this buck grow up for 5, 6, whatever years it is, and they finally get it. I'm like, I couldn't imagine having that opportunity to like know that buck grew up. I mean, the longest one I had was 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, same.
And that was crazy to have that. So
yeah, I know we've had so many encounters with bucks for like I said, maybe 3 years, and then either that buck is gone because of it or something like that, or somebody in our, you know, on our lease with us. You know, there was one buck, and I know we've talked about this on the show before, a buck that we had named Molitor. We had Molitor and Yount that year, and, you know, we're all upper Midwest here, folks, but we're from Wisconsin, particularly southeast Wisconsin, so, if you know anything about baseball, we're talking about Robin Yount and Paul Molitor. And I don't normally typically, and in fact, I don't think I've really given a name like that to any bucks since that time. But anyways, we had these 2 bucks. Yount had these huge, super tall brow tines. Awesome buck, 145-inch buck all day long, easily. And he was there all summer, and then once the season hit, he was gone.
Yep.
Never got a picture. Never seen him again. Ever. I mean, whether yeah, exactly. Whether he was hit by a car or a neighbor got him that I didn't know about,
same thing.
or he just like totally went miles away and took up new territory.
Yep.
But Molitor stuck around, and he was a 13-point buck, split brows. But he was only a 3.5-year-old.
Oh, jeez.
At 13 points, split brows. And that's just a great buck. And I'm like, I don't care. Like, he's for sure. I'm taking him.
Absolutely.
If I get the opportunity. And I had multiple encounters with him in stand. The closest he ever was about 80 yards out, bumping does around.
Yep.
You know, he'd come into the woods. He'd go out in the field, come back in the woods, go back out in the field. Because at 3.5, he was pretty actively, you know, but yet he was still very, very dominant in that. Yep. And I knew his bedding area, and I knew that there wasn't a decent way for me to get down to his bedding area without bumping him out of there.
Yeah.
And all that long, like I said, 3 encounters with him. Never actually was able to get a shot at him. And then opening morning of gun season. One of our guys that at the time was only gun hunting. He used to bow hunt, and then he gave it up for years. And now he's actually gotten back into it.
Yeah.
He's down in the swamp, exactly where I know where this buck usually is hanging out. Opening morning, 7:30. I hear a shot, and my heart just sunk into my stomach. And about 20 minutes later, I get a text message. I go, I shot a real nice one.
Oh, boy.
And I said, he got split brows. He's like, I haven't even gotten over here. He's like 180 yards away.
Oh.
And then across the swamp.
Yeah.
I'm like, so I'm just sitting there waiting. And then the text message comes with the pictures. And I'm like,
that's him.
Congratulations, you got Paul Molitor.
You got the
and it's like, I mean, I was super happy for him, and but at the same time, you're like, oh man,
I had the history and everything, and the cool ending in the story.
Right, exactly.
It still ended, but it wasn't the way.
Yeah, it was crazy though. Like the body size on him, it was not his rack. Like I wish I could have seen what that buck would have been at 5.5.
Oh, geez.
And I shot a doe that same day that rivaled the body size. And this was a big doe, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
She was a big, big doe. But she rivaled body size of this buck. Like,
Jeez.
almost like, I would say I might have even gotten by 5, 6, maybe 10 pounds,
cow.
something like that. Like, I'm like, I was really actually shocked because the whole time, every time I had an encounter with him, I'm not really looking at his body size.
Yeah.
I'm just seeing this really nice rack, and that knowing that that's Molitor in that. And I'm like, boy, if he could make, even if I don't get him, if he can make that next year and he's still around.
Yep,
like,
absolutely.
Oh, even at 4.5, dude's going to be awesome in that. But it's like one of those things, it's a friend of yours, and the guy's been hunting forever too, and, he's got just as much right to it. It's not
absolutely.
my buck. And that, but like he didn't even know that buck existed out there. It wasn't like a thing where like I shared that.
Yep.
Outside of who I was bow hunting with, we were the only ones that knew.
Oh, yeah.
And that I wasn't about to tell the gun hunt.
Yeah, kidding. Yeah, wait for this one.
Right.
Yeah, shoot the next one that comes through.
I mean, I have in the past, but this one I really had my sights set on him, and it is what it is. But it's one of those things.
Yeah.
Like that's what gets you charged up.
Yeah.
Because it's uniqueness. Like, I shot a turkey his spurs are a 1/4 inch longer than the one I got last year. Like, or he weighed 3 pounds more. Like, no, it's fun. The hunt itself, but at the end of the day, it's like, what's the difference in these fans up there? So
We've got a initiation here. Chris Demalia, do you remember, tell Nick about the initiation fee of having to take each one of the team members out on a guided hunting or fishing trip of our choice? So just a heads up.
I'm in.
In case you haven't figured it out yet, Chris Damali is our former co-host of the show here. So
Anytime. Well, I can't say guided because, of course, that would, get me in trouble because I don't have a guide license. I am not a guide.
Right.
But, no, I'd be down. I could take people, I take a lot of people turkey hunting, duck hunting, goose hunting, fishing. Like I said, we talked about, I do a little bit of white fishing with a buddy. So, yeah, I mean, I'm down to take anybody out. Anybody that's interested. I love, taking people out, especially kids. I've got quite a few kids involved, and even adults too, that never shot a turkey or just have a hard time finding them and shooting them. And I've got a lot of farmers that are lucky enough to let me hunt their land, or I should say, I'm lucky enough to hunt their land.
Yeah.
And I'm just blessed to have that opportunity. And I love taking people out. I mean, to me, when I go and take anybody else out hunting, it's not about I'm hoping that they get one. But at the end of the day, for me, because everybody's like, well, those are your spots. Like, you could save that. You don't have to give those up. And I'm like, yeah, but I like seeing other people succeed and have fun.
100%.
I mean, to me, anybody can go out and shoot something, but you take someone else out and let them shoot it, that's more special. I mean, I could have pulled the trigger on anything that my friends have shot with or with me. I could have shot it. I could have done it. Okay, so there's no bragging rights behind it. My fun is like watching them get excited, sitting there shaking, like, is this what it's like? Why am I shaking so bad? I'm like, this is why we do this. This is the moment right here. I'm like, enjoy it, because this is going to last about 5-10 minutes, and then that's going to calm down, and then it's all going to be about, what you finally did.
Right.
And then nothing beats watching them get like that, get worked up, and then you can hear them too, and you're next to them. As a bird or the deer's getting closer. And they're sitting there shaking, like, oh, God, I'm like, this is fun to listen to and watch.
Yeah,
It's not me.
Yeah, right? I mean, totally. I mean, mentoring, whether it be a kid or even an adult, like there's something very, very rewarding about that. This last December, I did a mentoring weekend for kids and Mentors Outdoors Camo, the Lake County chapter, and that. So I took a 10-year-old out. And that we weren't successful. We had some opportunities, but we weren't successful. But like, there's something about, and I've done it with adults too.
Yeah.
Some of one of my closest hunting buddies, I got him into the outdoors, and like that experience, and to see the excitement and that adrenaline dump that they get.
It's awesome.
From something like that. It's like, because you get to a certain age and you've killed so many deer, you killed so many turkeys, or you caught so many fish, and that you start to somewhat become a little bit numb to it.
Yeah.
Like it's still exciting, but it's not the same as it was the first couple of times.
Yeah,
and that
absolutely.
So to be able to see that excitement in somebody else, whether it be a kid or an adult, I mean, that's almost like you did it yourself.
Yeah, it is.
It's like it's very, very rewarding.
Yep.
So
We got another from one of our co-people. Take producer Luke cheese curd hunting.
Cheese curd hunting, huh?
from one of our people, I believe it says Midwest Restaurants Outdoors. So one of our people, we need to take out producer Luke cheese curd hunting.
Cheese curd hunting, huh?
All right. With that said, that's a good spot, I think, to quit. Nick, we're going to have you back on again multiple times because we'll do some deep dives on specific topics here. We kind of just touched on a bunch of different things that you're involved in. And again, like I said, we're super excited to have you on the team. I can't wait to see what kind of content you're going to be producing. And I'm also looking forward to spending some time in the field and on the water with you too.
Yeah, I'm excited.
As are everybody on the team, and from what it sounds like. So we're going to have a lot of fun. So with that said, guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap up this episode. Again, we appreciate everybody who tunes in week after week or month after month, whenever we end up pulling these shows together. This is a passion project for us, so we try to do it as often as we can. We do have another show coming up next week with Scott Bass from Easy Cut, so make sure you tune in for that. We'll be putting some reminders out. And again, we're now streaming live on YouTube as well as Facebook, so please head over to our YouTube page, hit subscribe, hit that notification button so you can stay up to date on all of our latest episodes. And until next, always outdoors.